This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Take a step back in time and discover old Florida cuisine at Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere. Enjoy delicacies such as frog legs, gator tail, catfish, and swamp cabbage, or enjoy the more traditional cuisine like hand-cut Angus steaks, ribs, and seafood. Join us for breakfast with a southern flair featuring sweet potato pancakes, biscuits and gravy, and much more. Planning a party? Marsh Landing's private dining room can accommodate groups from 8 to 80 people. While you're visiting, enjoy the historic pictures, artifacts, and stories that line the walls. Marsh Landing is truly a unique experience. Marsh Landing Restaurant, 44 North Broadway in historic Fellsmere, or visit marshlandingrestaurant.com. Marsh Landing, old Florida cuisine at its best.
Welcome. As always, we are so glad you're here. You have discovered the secret to everything with Dr. Kimberly-McGeorge, sponsored by the X-Zone and secrettoeverything.com. And do we have a show for you today? One of my very favorite topics we will be discussing in just a little bit, and that is the topic of Feng Shui, which most people think they know what it is. I'm not sure we're talking about what you think we're talking about, but we will definitely find out. There's kind of a new breed of Feng Shui experts coming down the pipe, and they're a little more sensitive to the subtle frequencies of energy than some of the old methods of teaching, but we will be digging into that. We will be speaking to Ms. Kendra Gardner, and she's coming all the way from Italy. She happens to be temporarily visiting in the United States, so we grabbed her while we could get her here, and we will be discussing that very interesting and I think extremely practical topic. And we will make sure that for you guys, we make that extremely practical. Rob and I were talking before the show a little bit about the show Killing Bigfoot, and there's a petition circulating, which I'm sure you can easily find. I have it on my Twitter, Serene Wellness, and I'm sure Rob has it up on the X-Zone. And if you are a crypto fan like I am, and you truly love, some people call them an indigenous people, some people call them creatures. I don't know what I call them sometimes, but I have my own very interesting journey and relationship with them. But please, if you feel led, sign that petition. We really need to start taking action. This is one of the things I want to talk to you guys about today. One of the things I want to talk with Kendra about. We really need to start taking action and not just listening to radio shows and debating among ourselves, but we need to really make a difference. And if we say we care about these creatures, then we need to do something to protect them and not be afraid of the consequences, because that's why the world is the way it is, because there's many people that live in the frequency of fear. So check that out. It's a new year, and we are switching our free gift on our website. So we were doing free RS scans, and that is gone with the wind and turning into something equally delicious, which is free chakra scans. Now, you can't get two, but if you are new to the Secret to Everything and to the Secret to Everything show on the X-Zone, then go to the website, and we will be happy to gift you a free chakra scan. So it's important to take action, as we will be discovering with Kendra, to co-create your life. And it creates this really cool ability to focus and go into creation and accomplish what you discovered. I know I talk a lot about this, but energy has been so scattered and so diffuse, and our attention's over here, and this false flag over here, and the election over here, and, holidays over here. And sometimes you just need to say, no, 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 and pull out of the macro and go into the micro and say, what do I need to do? And sometimes I'm so overwhelmed by all the things I need to do. One of my very favorite tips that I've shared over the years and that I sometimes have to talk to myself about at the beginning of a day or a week is the concept of doing the next thing. So you may have a million things on your to-do list, but you can kind of go into this actual almost perceptible spin where you find yourself at the end of a day or end of the week and you're like, I didn't do anything. I just thought about doing everything. So if you want to jot that down or kind of think about that or scribble it on your calendar, just do the next thing. And if that thing is, sweeping your carpet, then do that, or making dinner for your kids, or writing that blog article you've been putting off. But make a list and do the next thing, cross it off, do the next thing, cross it off, and keep going. Pretty soon you'll be like, I accomplished so much today. It's so cool. It's so cool. I love the technology that we're working with in Secret to Everything. And I don't know, Kendra and I may talk a bit about the technology. I'm not sure if it'll come into our Feng Shui energy conversation or not. But I was so blown away the other day. My friend wrote me, and I'd actually sent her to an acupuncturist over in Asheville, North Carolina, that I'd gone to that was really awesome. And she didn't share with me the results yet. She said, I'll send over the results in an email in a little bit. And meanwhile, I got on our technology and I said, your heart meridian's out, and your kidney meridian's out, and this is wrong, and that is wrong. And she came back and she's like, well, I didn't know. I opened up the email, and when I opened it up, the acupuncturist was like, your heart meridian's out, your kidney meridian's out, and this is wrong, and this is wrong. And I just think it's so cool. Yeah, we can go to doctors if we want to. Yeah, we can go to health practitioners if we want to. But the power to assess your life, we can now have in your own hands to assess your health. And I think it's absolutely fabulous. Again, we have Energy Mastered app. Check it out on my website. So again, our guest today is Kendra Gardner. She's an up-and-coming Feng Shui expert. You will hear about her here, probably one of the first places you'll hear about her. She's an architect. She's worked on many projects, stateside and internationally. She also has a very big intuitive sense for Feng Shui and spaces. She is going to be sharing how we can change our spaces, but more important, change our lives with the concept of Feng Shui. So we'll be back with Kendra Gardner right here on The Secret to Everything with Dr. Kimberly-McGeorge.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
How would you like to be able to read other people's minds? Well, the next best thing is here. When you know how to read a person's name, you know how the person thinks, feels, and behaves. Each letter in our name holds a key to unlock our true essence. Our name contains both our gifts and challenges in this lifetime. Nemology science discovers personality secrets hidden in the placement of the letters of our names, including the first and last impression people remember about us. Sharon shows us how to interpret the arrangement of letters as outlined in her book, Know the Name, Know the Person. Sharon Lynn Wyeth created nemology science after 18 years of research and testing her theories, and has supported thousands of people around the world in understanding themselves and others better. You'll enjoy Sharon's unique teachings as she shares her system to learn the gifts behind your given birth name. Even if you don't like your birth name, there are jewels in this book. If you're thinking of changing your name, ready to name your child, or wanting to get along better with others, this is the book for you. If you'd like to improve your relationships and change your life for the better, get the book today, Know the Name, Know the Person, or visit www.knowthename.com. That's www.knowthename.com.
Take a step back in time and discover old Florida cuisine at Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere, Florida. Enjoy delicacies such as frog legs, gator tail, catfish, and swamp cabbage, or enjoy the more traditional cuisine such as hand-cut Angus steaks, ribs, and seafood. Join us for breakfast with a southern flair featuring sweet potato pancakes, biscuits and gravy, and much more. Planning a party? Marsh Landing's private dining rooms can accommodate groups from 8 to 80 people. While you visit, enjoy the historic pictures, artifacts, and stories that line the walls. Marsh Landing is truly a unique experience. Marsh Landing Restaurant, 44 North Broadway in historic downtown Fellsmere, or visit marshlandingrestaurant.com. Marsh Landing, old Florida cuisine at its best.
The Secret to Everything with Dr. Kimberly McGeorge. I am so happy to have an amazing young woman. She's a beautiful architect, so intuitive, so talented in the art of moving the energy in your life and in your spaces. So welcome to The Secret to Everything, Kendra.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here.
Oh, we're so excited to have you here. Well, take us back, not too long because you're very, very young, but take us back to let's start with what drove you into architecture. Is that something you've always been interested in? Have you always had that intuitive sense of space or appreciated design? What made you go into that?
Well, when I was younger, I loved art, and I was always very good at math and science. They say you're a girl, you like math and science, you should be an engineer. And I remember I spent a day with a bunch of engineers, and I'm like, this is so not what I'm going to do with my life. This is just not me. But I still love the math and science part, and I loved art. And then I started hearing about architecture. My mom used to have all those Better Homes and Gardens magazines. I used to love to see the little home layout and plans, and slowly I started to learn more and more, and that's what kind of led me to go there. It's always kind of curious.
Okay, so you went into architecture, I would say I would guess standard projects. Where did the energy come in? Where did the Feng Shui come in? When did the cures and that whole kind of realm, how did that enter?
Well, actually, when I was in college, I met this woman who was a shaman. And when she found out that I was studying architecture, she's the first person who told me anything about Feng Shui. She's like, well, if you're doing architecture, you should know about Feng Shui. She just had a really amazing consultation with somebody, and she was just so excited with the little things you could do, how you could change the energy of the space. So it's kind of I always knew about energy, and I always liked architecture. I never knew there was these things that actually brought them together. So that was the first where I heard about it, and then I did a project when I was in college, actually, where I took a book and I tried to make a house plan using Feng Shui. Very crude understanding of Feng Shui, as you can imagine, from one book, but it was a start. And then, how life is funny and you end up where you're supposed to be. The first real job I had after I graduated from college was in a firm in the Philadelphia area that actually did Feng Shui. It was in the letterhead, architecture, interior design, and Feng Shui. And the great thing for me is they were so busy and so into Feng Shui, they would pay for all their designers. Actually, they paid for everybody because even the CFO and the accountant knew Feng Shui. But they were really big in promoting it, and they helped finance it. They also, so it was great because they would tell you, these are good teachers, this person's coming around. So it was a great way to learn about it and still have it, involved in architecture. I could sometimes sneak it into projects with the client being interested without it being too much of a problem. So it kind of happened organically, as life would have it.
That's really awesome. So I have a funny story. So I studied because you can read one book about black hat feng shui, right, and be an expert. So I read one book about black hat feng shui. And for those of you that are like, what the heck is she talking about? There are different schools or thoughts or systems, just like everything, of feng shui. So I read this one book, and it was like, if you're missing your love corner in your house, because of course, houses are all differently designed, and I was living in a 100-year-old house at the time, and you wouldn't think in a 100-year-old house that you'd be missing the love corner, but of course, who gets the 100-year-old house with the missing love corner? I do. So I it had a lot of suggestions for cures outside in the corner. And not only that, Kendra, and you'll understand this, but my air conditioner was in that corner.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's so we wonder why we had problems in our romantic relationships. But it was so funny because I never, and still haven't, 4 years, never had a cure for that missing love corner. So what would you say to someone that me is like, oh, Kendra, you're crazy. I read the book on Black Hat Feng Shui, so I'm an expert, and it did not work. I never found, an amazing man. As you know, I'm still single. So let's just kind of play that out a bit.
Well, it is interesting. It's like a mix of different things. Sometimes the problem with those books is half the time they contradict each other. With all the different schools, you never know who wrote what book. So are they doing Compass School, or this or whatever, and then the things kind of contradict. A lot of times it is knowing what is the right thing to do and not overdoing it. Because sometimes people get too excited, they do too many things, or they don't fully understand what the book's explaining to do, and they do it wrong or backwards, or they didn't have it laid out right. There's a lot of little beginner problems that are very hard. Because Feng Shui originally was taught as, all ancient things are. It's you have a master or a mentor, and you slowly are trained and brought it down. And that's kind of what helps you learn a lot about the subtleness of the energies and knowing different things you can do and how to place this there or that's too much, or just how to counterbalance it so you don't have to do 6,000 things to cure something that's really simple. Or sometimes it's so complex you need something really big to make the big change.
So you're saying maybe because I had a missing love corner, and I would guess, just from my limited understanding, my massive understanding of energy, my limited understanding of Feng Shui, I would guess that maybe just focusing on that wasn't enough. Maybe I needed to look at other things and other,
Exactly.
flow of energy in my house. Is that true?
That's true. And also there's different levels of what's important. So if you might be missing the romance corner in your house in the overall plan, but if you have the romance corner in your bedroom taken care of, it's a different type of relationship problem. It's no longer so much about a relationship with the romantic partner. It's more about relationships with everybody. So you might have problems with your neighbors. You might have business problems. It's actually interesting because when you do certain things with Feng Shui, it's not just that corner in the house, but the corner in specific rooms are more important than others.
Now, I love playing devil's advocate, and I know you, so I can be a little more mischievous than maybe with some guests. But how about if I am just living a crazy, what we would call low vibrational life? What if I have a perfectly feng shui house? What if I hired Kendra Gardner and she came and redid my whole house and everything is just textbook, spot on? But maybe I'm going out every night, not sleeping, partying, dating crazy men. Will I still accomplish what I was desiring in love or in career or in family or in all the areas, that we deal with in Feng Shui? Do I have to, is it really that powerful and magical? Is it like a magic spell that I hire a Feng Shui expert and then everything in my life works? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I do think it's definitely, it's more to it than just moving a couple things in your home, because you got to put it in too. Your home definitely reflects what you are and what energy you're putting out, but you've got to do the same. You got to do stuff too. You could do everything for your romance corner, but if you never go out, what are you hoping to do? Date the mailman who comes, maybe drops off a package? So it is you and your energy and how much you put into it. There's definitely more to it than just putting things in certain spots. And the thing I've actually found kind of interesting too, as I say, it reflects you. I've done it where I've gone in and I've feng shuied a person's space and we got it all going. I come back 2 weeks later, and because they're still not ready, they've moved everything I put to correct it. It's like they intuitively started changing it. So I was like, okay, you need to put this there. The next time I come over, they moved and put it in the other corner. I'm like, well, why'd you do it? It didn't feel right there. I'm like, okay, so maybe you're not ready yet. You personally aren't ready for this type of energy, so putting it in your home isn't going to be good for you.
I really love that because it matches a principle that I teach about a lot, which is you can never attract any more or less than who you are being at the time. And it's so funny because, and you may know about this situation, but I'm working with some clients in another segment, which is kind of the paranormal world. And one person is having huge problems with the demonic, dark spirit realm. And by association, their business partner at the exact same time is also having, huge problems, separate problems, but we wonder how separate they are. They don't even live in the same city. they don't even live that close to each other at all, with the same exact thing. And people are like, oh, that's just such a coincidence. No, it's really not. Like, we literally, right? So I would guess that in that situation you just talked about, that person was literally rearranging their space to accommodate where they were at in their life, emotionally, mentally, physically, their frequency, what their comfort level was would change, and a whole bunch of other things. We are such interesting creatures.
Yeah.
We pay someone because we want change, and then we're like, oh, this just feels so uncomfortable.
Exactly. It's been really fascinating. It's fascinating because I've even seen it with myself where I think everything's great, and then all of a sudden you find out it's like an actual structural issue. Like, you have a leak from the neighbor above. It's nothing I did. I take care of my home. But if your neighbor has a problem, all of a sudden it's now in your space. And then I'm like, what's going on with me that I've got a leak in the financial area? Oh no, this is this is my energy that's off. So it kind of plays off back and forth that way.
Yeah, I really love that. So let's get down into some nitty gritty. Let's talk about, I'm going to separate these subjects because these are both two big subjects. So I'm going to kind of separate them, and they may be the same corner or whatever you guys call it, but there's all this lingo you guys have to realize. It's like a different language when you get into this Feng Shui stuff. There's like bagua and corner, and like, I'm like, what? But and I'm sure you know that. Well, let me ask you this. I was talking about black hat. Do you have a certain method that you studied, or a certain?
I did study under black hat too, as well, because it's the most common in like the Western world, Europe and North America. And the beauty of black hat is actually it's supposed to be the idea that it takes all the different principles and disciplines and puts it together. That's why it's actually black, because in traditionals there's like orange and there was blue, but the idea that black absorbs all the colors, that's why it's called black hat.
Okay, interesting. So now that you just turned this innocent little sweet conversation into a very dangerous conversation, because remember, I am a black hat Feng Shui expert because I read a book, Kendra. So now,
yes, exactly.
Now we're talking. I'm just kidding, you guys. But okay, so this actually isn't the number one topic people ask me about, but it's a very popular topic. It's one of the top 3 or 4, which is wealth. So I imagine some people come to you and they're like, could you just work on my wealth stuff or my money stuff? Is that true? And can we talk just briefly before the break, because we're coming up on a break pretty quick, can we start talking about, without knowing the design or the land or how someone's house is situated, what can we do right now, either with things we have or with relatively easy to get or inexpensive things that we can run out and get to improve our wealth flow in our homes?
Okay. Well, usually just an easy thing to do is to clear it of clutter. That's usually the most important thing, because when there's freedom, free of clutter, things flow. A lot of really simple things to do is we play with flow again. So you use a fountain. A lot of people put a water fountain in the area where there comes with money in abundance. So that kind of gets the money flowing, the water flowing, or they do fish tanks. You ever go to a Chinese restaurant, when you walk in, they constantly have fish tanks. That's actually about flow and abundance. So that's always a good thing, to bring in some water and flow, but make sure it doesn't ever get stagnant, or else you've just done the opposite of what you want. Another thing is to use the colors like purple, or to put gold coins, or just money, or even a jade plant, because the leaves kind of look like coins. Those are all like traditional and not like weird or awkward things you can put in the wealth area to help bring it in.
I love that. I love this. I talk about this all the time, maybe because I always need to work on it, but I love the clutter. And it's so funny because clutter can mean different things to different people. So I don't have a lot of clutter in my house, but I'll tell you what I do have a lot of, which because you've been in my house. It's paper. I have this like hoarding paper clutter problem. So clutter doesn't have to be like clothes on the floor, right, Kendra, or junk laying around. It can be anything that is like blocking flow and space and that you unnecessarily do not have organized or have too much of. Am I right?
Exactly. I mean, I even go as far as to say it's like if you got a gift from somebody that you don't like it and you hold on to it, it creates clutter. Like that hideous paintings your aunt gave you that you don't like, that's clutter.
Ooh, I love that. And it's kind of like really weird energetically, like emotional clutter. Like it's just kind of weird. I don't think we think like that, especially as Americans anyway. I don't I don't want to get, like I said, too deep into another subject because I know we're coming up on the commercial break, but I'm going to kind of give you a preview of what I'm going to talk to you about. I'd like to talk about love, of course, one of my favorite subjects. We're also going to be maybe digging for a few tips about health and maybe some things about family, children, and career. We'll just do the whole gamut. We'll just write our own Black Hat Feng Shui book right here when we come back with Kendra Gardner on The Secret to Everything.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we'll weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic right here on the Mutual Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, Soul Balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A Soul Balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today, www.soulbalancing.world.
welcome back to The Secret to Everything. I am Dr. Kimberly-McGeorge, and we are here with Kendra Gardner. And Kendra is an architect. She's a design specialist, and I think my daughter's the one that said functional feng shui. That just came into my mind. So she really makes feng shui practical, and if you want the design element, she's really great at that too. I've seen a lot of her work, and she's done a number of things for friends of mine, and it's extremely impressive. But the audience doesn't care about all that. We want to know about us. So let's talk about love for a minute. First, let's go back to the Chinese restaurant thing. So why do they have, and I think it has something to do with emotion, but why do they have like those little cheesy smiling cats with like, you know what I mean? Bobbleheads and tails.
Yeah, that's another ancient Chinese thing for bringing in flow and bringing in money. Like there's lots of them. There's this three-legged toad. There's lots of these traditional Chinese symbols that you'll see everywhere that actually are, different auspicious things. Like the dragon actually has to deal with bringing in helpful people. There's lots of symbols that are ancient Chinese symbols that they use, and you'll see a lot. When I first started studying feng shui and I went to a Chinese restaurant, I was just giggling for hours because I kept seeing, that's one, there's another one. Yep.
Now, has that become like a surface good luck charm thing where they just kind of slap it on? Here's the cat, here's the fish, here's the koi fish, or is that something that they really, because I don't notice that same design flow really going through the whole restaurant generally.
No, I do sometimes feel it is a little bit slap. The problem is I think a lot of people use feng shui and they throw in things that they heard were good, but they don't really understand how or why or, to properly use it. So, yeah, a lot of it is slapdash. But, no disrespect to your book knowledge, but a lot of it is you read a book and you put it here, and then later you find out, that was the worst possible thing to put there. So I think that's part of it. They heard this is a great cure, and they threw it there, but it was maybe not the best one for that because of other problems.
Well, and let's go to that. So before we delve into some of the other arenas of life that feng shui can help and assist in moving energy and balancing energy, let's talk about what happens when we practice bad feng shui, when we, I don't even know what the opposite of a cure is, but we can definitely, and I think a lot of us intuitively do practice good feng shui, some of us that are very sensitive to energy, and I think some of us without thinking really are accomplishing really bad feng shui in our land and home. And it's even, from my understanding, and again, just enough to be dangerous, but it's my understanding, even like the landscaping, where you put a walkway, what you paint your door, what kinds of trees, can it get really, really complicated? And can you imagine if you aren't conscious of your environment, and as we teach in Secret to Everything, and everything matters, everything, right?
Yes, exactly. Because there's a lot of things that are good and a lot of things that are bad. Like, there's a lot of discussion of a mirror, and I feel like in feng shui, one of the tools I use a lot are mirrors because they're very powerful ways to change energy. But if you put a mirror in the wrong space, you've now made it so, if you put a mirror at your front door, a lot of times you've just made it so no energy comes into your house. And it's like, you think it's a simple thing. Well, but in feng shui, they totally put a mirror here because I don't know, it helps this or it helps that, or it should bring more energy in. But in fact, you've actually took more energy out. And the thing I've found a lot from just doing consultations with people is when they come in, a lot of times you are absolutely right. People know what to do. You intuitively kind of feel, well, this is a better place for that. This is a good place for this. But it's often the areas that you have problems in is the areas that you are bad with putting things in, too. You know what I mean? Like, it's your weak spot, and your space usually reflects that. And it's always curious to see it.
Kind of a weird comment, but I noticed that when I was having problems in my love life, which has been always, and I take that out of the quanta because we hope to change that. But I noticed that I was, and this is so weird, the paintings I was buying, the pictures I was buying, they were of all groups of women or single women. And that's not a good thing when you're looking for love.
Exactly. I mean, I feel like when I say it the most, it always reflects. Like, I've had consultations with romance, and or my friend had one that was just cracking me up because she had this client who was complaining about her love life, and she's dating this guy, and it feels like it's not going anywhere. We're just in a rut. There's no movement, and it's really stale. And you go in her house, and you look in the romance corner in her bedroom, and you know what's there? A treadmill. I'm like, yeah, no wonder it feels like you're going nowhere. You're literally running in place in your romance corner. And when she moved it out, unfortunately or fortunately, they broke up. So then you're all upset, like, I hate their feng shui. She got me to move it, and then we broke up. But now she found somebody else and is happily married because that relationship was really going nowhere. But it's just interesting, these little things, or you get somebody who has their own scan and they're complaining, my love life sucks, it's like crap. And then you see where the litter box is, and you're like, well, you intuitively wanted to reflect that, but it might not be the place to put Fluffy's litter box. So it's definitely it's kind of interesting to see how off and wrong we can naturally be as well as right.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. If you guys didn't catch that, you need to download this and rewind that, because that was actually a brilliant, hilarious thing that Kendra just said. Kendra's so funny. Okay, so have you heard of the book, and I'm going to mutilate this title, and I should have looked it up, but I didn't, but it's like Move Your Stuff, Change Your Life, or Change Your Stuff, Move Your Life, or something. And supposedly they did this experiment where they went into businesses, and they actually, I don't know if it was Black Hat or something else, but they applied the principles of Feng Shui in these businesses, and the business incomes actually went up, relatively, we're talking like weeks and months, short amount of time. Have you heard of that experiment?
No, I haven't, actually.
Yeah, I just wondered
how it would work.
So it can work, despite the fact that in a business it's actually more complicated, because they were going into business offices and storefronts, and there's a lot of people with a lot of messed up stuff that probably aren't aware of energy and could care less. So there's something powerful.
It's everywhere.
And to me, go ahead.
I was going to say, for example, where I used to work, they, as I said, I'm talking the CFO, the executive VP, they all knew and studied Feng Shui. And when they would reorganize the office, they knew exactly who they put in the relationship corner. They knew exactly who they placed in the wealth corner, and it was strategic. It's like the person who pulls in the most money, who's very strong in pulling in, the money, we put in the wealth corner. The person who has really good client relations, they always put in the relationship corner. The person who's constantly losing money on project is the last person you're putting in your wealth corner. But they would constantly look at that and choose where to put people to keep things moving. It was really interesting how you could totally use it in business, and I could totally see if you do a couple of changes, little shifts, how much things would improve.
That's really cool. It kind of reminds me of, when you're working on your health, or when we're working on stuff with frequency and with the work that we do, it reminds me of how I say you can work inside out or outside in. And, sometimes outside in works faster and sometimes inside out works faster. I kind of see Feng Shui as that, like your outer environment, your outer constant energy. If you think about your homes or your offices, you're constantly in that energy. It's as huge an effect on you, sometimes more than who? Your family, right? And the people you live with, because you go away from them, but you're in these spaces. And, I teach, of course, everything has a frequency, everything is energy, and you do too. And so these are, visceral energies that we're interacting with. And it matters if your house is cluttered or not, or a room's cluttered or not. It matters in these different topics. So let's go to love. And if you can give us a couple general Feng Shui cures for a stagnant love life.
Definitely. Well, the color, this is a fun one to tell people because they look at me like I'm crazy. But if you want to bring in romance to your life, if you're a single person looking for romance, the actual color is peach. So they often recommend that you did a peach bedspread. And I always love when I see life reflected, because I remember in that episode of Sex and the City, she actually changed her sheets to peach, Miranda. She made a peach comforter set. So just the color, because it has to do with the earth and, the vibrancy of love. But if you have a relationship, you have to get rid of the peach, just so you know. It's only to bring one in, or else you're bringing in a couple other people, which, if you want, is good. But the other thing for romance, if it's kind of stale, you add in a reddish purple, a deep red purple, or you add in red sheets. So that'll kind of fire to add some passion. Another thing to do is you look in your romance corner, which usually in your bedroom is the upper right corner, and you do things in twos. So make sure, if there's a picture, it's you and your beloved, not your parents. That's not good. Or the Statue of the Virgin Mary. That's not good. You look for stuff that has to deal with couples. So it should, if you can do like two roses in a vase sitting there, it's always in twos, and that should always be like emphasized in that corner. Those are pretty, and you just have fun with that and keep running with it. But avoid singles and have twos.
Interesting. So you wouldn't want to necessarily put like a shrine to your children or maybe your dogs in that corner, right?
Exactly. That's definitely you want to keep those out of that corner.
I love that. Well, is there a separate, and I'm rusty on my black hat skills, but is there a separate career corner, or is that blended with something else? Because I know some of them go with other things.
Oh, there is a special area for the career, and it's kind of, if you're doing the black hat sect, if you're standing in the side where you enter, it's in the middle of the home. So often it's where your front door is, because you can either enter, the far left, the far right, or in the middle. So it's in the middle of the entrance. That's kind of the area for the career. Or it's your office, if you have a home office.
Okay, so we should pay attention to our office if we work from home or work part of the time at home. And what are some things that we can do just off the top of your head to, I guess, keep growing our business or bring in more money flow? I'm sure that would tie in with your money corner.
Oh, definitely.
As well.
Yeah, because that I kind of play with. So like if you're worried about money in your business, I look at the wealth area in your office. But also like it deals with the color black, so you want things to be free-flowing. Often it's the color black and dark blue that go with that, so have stuff like that kind of moves there. If you have images in that area, it's often better for like black and white images that inspire you, more so than colorful images, so black and white images, or a free-form kind of image, like a mural or something that if you want to just do art that's kind of fun. It's more about that. Career actually deals with water, so it's about movement and flow.
Okay, that makes sense. And you brought up an important, point about Feng Shui, which is, again, we have the macro, we have the micro, which is you have these areas in your house. So kind of entire rooms or segments or sections are, designated to love, health, career, money, all that. And then you also brought up an important point in answering that question's in the individual room. So you may be in the love corner that may be your bedroom, but even within your bedroom, right? Am I right, Kendra?
Yep.
You have these kind of a mirrored reality of those same spaces that when you get really detailed or you work with someone like Kendra, you start tweaking all those sections. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it can go. You could do it from I've done it where I feng shui my desk at work, and then you can feng shui your whole property. It is totally micro and micro to macro.
And it can get really crazy and complicated. So it also applies to our land, correct? Our entrances, like I said, and our landscaping, and whether we have water features or we're trying to correct, things that may be unbalanced. Can you give us some landscaping tips that are pretty general for everyone?
Oh, sure. The big thing is that you could see your entrance. That's really important, because if you can see your front door, because that's where energy should be coming in, it's really good that you have a nice flow to your front door. So that could be, it's pretty, so have flowers, whatever, and it's clear. You know what I mean? No overgrown bushes. You can see the house number. It's really important in your landscape that features all open up and flowing. And then the other thing, there's a traditional drawing that they always do for Feng Shui for Chinese home. It's like you want the mountain behind you and the water in front of you. So it's the idea, so the water can be the street, but the idea that energy flows like the stream towards you, and you have the mountain behind you to protect you. So kind of think of if your home has that thing. Because a lot of times some people never know what your plot of land is. It might slope down. So if you have land that slopes down, then you try to do stuff to help kind of make it feel like you have that support of a mountain behind you. So maybe you plant bigger trees, or you put different features in your backyard so you feel like have a little mountain behind you, a little bit of support.
Gotcha. I'm going to cut you off, and when we come back, we're going to maybe hear a little bit more about that and talk about health, children, and how you can work with Kendra right here on The Secret to Everything with Dr. Kimberly-McGeorge.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly-McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money in abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
Welcome back to The Secret to Everything with Dr. Kimberly-McGeorge. We have been chatting this hour with Kendra Gardner. She is a functional Feng Shui expert. She's an architect, and she is just great at all things design and energy movement. And one thing about Kendra that I personally know, she is super intuitive. So it's always magical when we get someone that's just really intuitive, and then we get something that they're really good at, and we smash those together. So is there anything else? How about this, Kendra? I happen to have a lake at the bottom of a slope in my backyard. I have a very large backyard, but is that good or bad in Feng Shui?
Well, the sloping back, but I've been to your house, and your house has such great energy. I don't think there's really much you need to do. They prefer the waters in the front versus on the back. So it isn't as auspicious that it's in the back of your property versus the front of your property, but it's not bad. Because I know I've seen your properties, you kind of have the trees, so that kind of does kind of help segue it out.
Okay. I was just worried for a minute there when you were talking about, because I'm like, that's not how my property is. I'm willing to move. I'll move for you, Kendra. You can tell me to move. I'm all down for that. All right. So let's move into, I'm sure some people are like, what about health? Does that have its own space in your home?
It actually is in the very middle of your home. And you kind of think of like your hearth that used to always kind of be near the center, so it kind of makes sense in some ways. So it's usually in the middle of your home. And the simplest and the easiest one is to clear the clutter, and then you kind of start playing with health issues. It's part like, they have this one theory about, make sure there's no bad food in your house. Like, get rid of all the expired food in your fridge and your pantry. Like, that actually is good so that the energy there is clear. And also, you kind of make sure in all of the spaces that you spend a lot of time, there's no real bad Feng Shui elements. Because, like, they talk about in Feng Shui, if you sit in front of a corner, that's almost creating an arrow and it's stabbing you. So that actually depletes your energy. Because if you do kinesiology or muscle testing, you actually are not as strong there. So if you sleep sometimes, like some people sleep in a room with lots of angles and corners, so if there's something that juts out at you or points at you, it's depleting your energy, according to Feng Shui. So that's something you'd worry about with health. Less so much in the space, but how it affects you overall in your space.
I love that. And it's so funny because, I've been looking actually at new homes and even maybe building at home. And I love all those like beams and things that they put, in the great rooms. And we've talked about this, and in the kitchens and in your bedroom. And you don't really recommend a lot of that, do you?
No, because a lot of times, and it depends on the type of beams also, but it's almost like a guillotine is the effect of that energy. It's kind of like there's something hanging over your head. I mean, and the thing that I find that's really lovely about Feng Shui, if you have that in your home, it's not the end of the world. There's cures, and there's ways to kind of fix it or change the energy. And sometimes, how if it's something is broken and you fix it, it actually becomes the strongest point. So you can almost, what you do to fix it can make the energy even better than it was if you just had a basic flat ceiling. But yeah, the beams are something you got to be careful of, especially if you have like one huge massive beam over your bed.
Ooh, that's right. That could be really divisive, I imagine, in a relationship. You're like, why do I feel like we're living totally different lives? Well, you have a beam cutting the bed in half. And I know some people do. We've seen homes that have that, and I know you and I both have. One thing I want to talk to you about before we get all your great information about how we can get in touch with you and get our own juicy little consultation. One of the things I've noticed a lot, and this happens a lot in, streets that come to an end and create like a 90-degree angle, and it happens a lot in courts or where you're driving into a house. What do you think about cars? Of course, you're not literally driving in the house, but that are constantly driving toward your house as a whole. What's your thoughts on that?
That's a lot of energy coming at you. So that's actually, it's really quite hard. And what you would do, like, that's something where you start doing some cures in your property. So, like, you try to put up an energetic fence where it could literally be a fence, where you do shrubs or something like that to kind of control that, because that is just constant energy coming up to you. Just imagine, like, the waves just kind of batting up against your house. So that's a lot of energy coming at you. Just like the converse, we in the U.S. especially love a cul-de-sac. It's great as a cul-de-sac because it's safe, the kids can go run out. But in traditional Feng Shui, it's bad because they don't feel like there's enough of the movement coming in. So it's kind of like playing with that. So sometimes you have too much, sometimes you have too little. So if you have too little, you do little Feng Shui cures to kind of bring energy back. Like if you have a fun street where there's lots of energy because they take advantage of the fact there's not a lot of traffic, it's not a problem. But sometimes it's like a dead circle. And that's kind of like, you have to do the opposite where you try to bring things back, bring the energy back to your space.
That makes a lot of sense. So you know what my cure is, right, Kendra? Dogs. I live in a cul-de-sac, so I brought in dogs. They have lots of energy, as you know. I love it. Okay, so Kendra, what are you up to right now? What are you offering? How can we find you? What is your website? How can we take advantage of what you're up to right now?
Okay, well, my website is kgarchitecturalfengshui.com, and what I'm working on offering people is I do like a one-room design, a one-room Feng Shui redesign of your space. So it's kind of like a simple little, you send me some pictures, you fill out a questionnaire, and we will do like a mini Feng Shui consultation on that room so we can optimize it. Because the thing that I love about Feng Shui is not just getting your space to be balanced, but once I figure out what your personal elements are and your personal objective is and intention for the space, we really hit it up energetically to do what you want it to do.
I love that. And you guys will be able to find that on my website, where we're going to start posting all the archives of the shows on the X Zone and any resources, including their website, social media. Are you on social media, Kendra? Is there any way people can get a hold of you on there?
Oh, yes. I'm on Facebook, of course. It's Kendra Gardner. I'm on Facebook with the Certified Intuitive Strategist on Facebook. You can find me there.
That's absolutely wonderful. And I heard a little rumor that you might have a class coming up. Is that true?
Yes, I'm doing this wonderful class for the new year to really help people get their energy ready. So it's the Feng Shui Your Home for the new year. And, with the new year, everybody talks about, doing their New Year's resolutions. But the idea with this is to use some Feng Shui cures and tips to really set your home for the new year and plant those intentions into your space and, just get really set. So it's nice little simple nuggets of how to help you, kind of how to get rid of some of that holiday chaos and clutter that drives a lot of people crazy. So that's a class that I have set up. That's an online class. And right now, if you sign up for the class, there's a bonus where I'll actually be able to work with people on their own spaces. So you submit a photo, and with that photo in a group setting, in a group class, we'll go over and I'll give you a few Feng Shui tips on the room you select to kind of help you and get you started.
I love that. I hope you guys will really look that up and look up Kendra Gardner and take advantage of that. And she's actually going to be heading back to Italy fairly soon. So if you want to connect with her when she's in the States, where she's a little more accessible, it's a good time to do so. So Kendra, there's a lot of people that are designers and architects. What is an advantage to working with a design done by someone who, knows how to integrate energy into the space versus someone who's just saying, oh, these are the colors you like, and here's a beautiful piece of furniture and some nice wallpaper or paint. What is the advantage of working with you over a conventional designer?
Oh, I totally understand and get it. The thing that's really good, I often say that, good architecture and good Feng Shui are always together. They're always the same. But the key that I think is really great when you have someone who knows a lot about Feng Shui is the ability to put your special touch that's right for your energy. So, like, if I know things, I know how to balance things. It's not just about it being balanced, aesthetically, but I can actually, we can get it energetically balanced. So if I find out that your element's more, say, a fire, well, I'm going to push you to have things that support the energy of fire. So, like, we're not going to put too many water features or too much water because it will deplete your energy. Instead, I'll put maybe more wood because wood fuels a fire. And these little things that actually you can feel in your space and make it so much more supportive. So rather than just having a beautiful space, it actually is energetically supporting you and nourishing you. And that's something it's just great.
So it's kind of like a double specific design. You help choose things that flow with the house and go with the style and that we would like, but you also really dig down into the aspects of our subtle personality and the way our energy flows within our own beings and our own planetary patterns, right?
Exactly.
Super awesome. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here. We're so excited to have you. Give us your website one more time, and we'll have to have you back.
Oh, I look forward to it. It's kgarchitecturalfengshui.com. Thank you so much. It was such a treat to talk with you and your audience.
Oh, thank you, Kendra. You guys need to check her out. Absolutely beautiful young woman and can make a huge difference in all aspects of your life in this new year. So if you want to check me out and what we're doing at Secret to Everything, it's secrettoeverything.com. We have some absolutely fantastic, wonderful guests. Some of them are very good friends of mine. We've got Isaac coming up, and he is knowledgeable about all things Illuminati and music and pop culture and all the signs and symbolism. He'll be coming up in the next couple of months. We have Michael and Marty Perry. A lot of you guys are familiar with them. They are beautiful spirit artists and can really connect with the interdimensional world. We have Danielle Agnew, who worked on the show. I'm sure a lot of you may know this show, a little old show called Supernatural, and she was one of their advisors. She's a top psychic in the U.S. We have some of my Bigfoot and cryptozoology friends. We can't forget about Bigfoot, one of my and Rob's favorite topics to talk about and people to have on the show. We've just got all kinds of things happening. And there's a lot of ways you can get a hold of me. I know you can go to the X Zone Radio Network page, and there's a place I think that Rob has to get a hold of the host. If you have a suggestion for guests, or if you would like to be a guest on the show, you have some amazing experiences or insights, or you're an author, we also have opportunity for you to get a hold of me and on my website to sign up to come on the show. Like I said, we are changing our free website offering to chakras. So if you don't even know what chakras are, you're interested in what might be going on with yours, please get a hold of us and fill out the form on our website, secrettoeverything.com. We are so appreciative to the X-Zone Radio Network. Please check out all the other programs and hosts. So I hope you have an amazing week. Thank you for listening. Signing off, Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and The Secret to Everything.